Hey, welcome back to the One Income Family Podcast. On today's episode, we are going to be diving into my real life budget. You'll see whether I stayed on budget or not, what I had planned, and maybe how those plans even changed, how I handled the changes, and so much more. As I've said many times over, budgeting isn't about stressing over whether you stay on budget or not. It's about how you handle the changes that life and even your temptations bring you. So let's dive deep into today's episode so that you can see how I was able to go to 2 weddings in 1 month so that you can take my thoughts and put them into action with your own budget. Go grab yourself something nice to sip on, take a breather, and let's get to it. Do you find it hard to save or get out of debt? Are you constantly searching for ways to save money and live on a budget? Do you have big dreams only to be stopped by not sticking to your budget? Are you ready for financial freedom? Then you, mama, are in the right place. Welcome to the One Income Family Podcast, where you will learn what it looks like to budget on one income, how to partner with God in your finances, how to budget in a way that's easy to stick to, and how to cut costs and save money, all so that you can start building wealth. It is my mission to equip you with these tools so that you can live in abundance regardless of the amount in your account. Hey, I'm Molly, a budget coach for stay-at-home moms, and I know what it's like to struggle on one income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck, relied on being frugal, and failed many budgets until I learned how to budget without tracking. This has allowed my family to pay off debt and build wealth all on one income. So, if you are ready for financial freedom, then go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. Mama, it's time for you to get a new budget. That old one is keeping you stuck and from living the abundant life that you want. You need a budget where you don't have to track every single little expense. I mean, seriously, how annoying is that? A budget that you can put on autopilot, saving you both time and money. A budget that makes setting boundaries simple and the follow-through so easy. When you work with me, that's exactly what you get. A budget that is simple and easy, a budget that makes sure your necessities are met, and that gives you margin to put towards your wants and your wishes. Take your first step and book a budget checkup where we will go through your budget, making sure that your needs are met and learning how much of a margin that you have left every single month to put towards your coffees and your goals of paying off debt and living big on a budget. Go to calendly.com/Molly Bennell, that's CALENDLY.com/Molly with a Y, B as in boy, ENELL, and let's get you unstuck and living the life that you desire. If you have any questions, I want you to get on a free clarity call with me so that you can go into a budget checkup excited and ready to go. Go again to calendly.com/Molly Bennell and pick the call that's right for you. Let's go. Alrighty, so I am super excited about today's episode because I have said that I wanted this episode to not only give you the tools, but to also show you how to implement the budget in real life, right? And so I am finally getting to that point, like figuring out how to do that for you so that it serves you and actually helps you through your budget, right? And so that is why I think I've decided that I am going to start recording once a month a real life budget. So that's going to go with you, like walk with you through the things that I planned, what I thought my budget was going to do, what actually happened, and then actually go through how I either fixed my problem, because you and I both know that we're going to get off budget. It's not going to stay on budget 100% of the time, but we are going to not get into the place where we are struggling financially, but still be able to move our money around so that it works for us and we still are achieving the things that we desire, right? And so that is what I'm super excited about from this episode, because I am starting off with walking you through how I handled 2 weddings in 1 month. Like, I knew they were coming, so obviously I could plan for them, but what I planned, as you will learn, is not what happened. And having to figure out and think on my feet how to fix or how to, fix isn't the right word because it's not like I broke anything. It's just that I didn't follow that plan. So I had to come up with a new plan and I had to problem solve a new way out of the new problem that I had, right? Because figuring out where your money needs to go is definitely a problem because you're trying to figure out where you want it to go, like what your desires are. You're trying to identify what's actually important in that moment. And yes, a budget isn't or a wedding isn't exactly a 100% like your normal monthly budget, but it does affect your everyday budget, right? And so that is why I am so excited to go through this. So I'm just going to dive right in. So what I planned. So at the beginning of the year, I think it was the beginning of the year, I knew that I had 2 weddings that I was going to go to, right? And so I had decided that we were just going to go to one of my really good friends' weddings and that my family wedding, because it was further away, we would just send a card to. And so I went and I saved up enough money to go to my friend's wedding, which was still not at home, but it was only 2 hours away, right? So it wasn't going to cost as much as going to my family wedding, which was 6 hours away. And so that's what we had decided. I saved up the money. It's been sitting in the savings for a while. I got the cards ready, I think. I don't actually remember. I don't remember when I got the cards, right? Anyways, I got that all set up and ready. But what actually happened was not what I planned at all, because come maybe a month out, maybe 2 months out, a month or 2 out, maybe it was only a couple weeks. I don't recall the exact timeline. I should start writing this down, right? But when we were trying to decide what we were going to do with my cousin's wedding, my husband just willy-nilly, because he's the one that just decides to do things on the fly, which used to be me until I got kids, right? Because now I'm a planner, as I'm sure most of you are. Because with kids, it can get crazy if you don't have a plan. But anyways, he just out of the blue was like, we're going to go to your family's wedding. I'm like, what? Okay, I don't have money saved up for this. So then I had to dig into my budget, figure out where this money was going to come from, figure out how we were going to do it. My husband was like, yeah, we're going to do this. So we're going to call your dad and see if he's going. And he decided that he was going to go, which he had a whole bunch of stuff going on too. And that was kind of what decided whether we were going to go or not, and if we were going to go together, like carpool, or whether we were going to go separate or stay in the same hotels, all this stuff that we were trying to plan and get figured out like the week before, because we just willy-nilly decided to do this. Now, if I didn't have margin in my budget, there's no way this would have been able to happen, right? So we went to both weddings. But it was definitely like a lot of trying to quick thinking, problem solving, figuring out in the moment what it is that we're going to do. I should call it in the moment planning instead of problem solving, because problem solving has such a negative connotation to it. So I'm going to start calling it in the moment planning. It's a mouthful, but it's not as it has a happier thought to it instead of the negative connotation like problem solving. So anyways, I had to do a lot of in-the-moment planning, changing up of plans that I originally had and figuring out how to make it and get through to the wedding, right? So that we could go to both weddings. And so what I did was I essentially used our margin. So what I'm talking about is when I was actually sitting down doing the budget, we had enough money left over. I don't like that word either. I need to come up with a different word for that. But we had enough margin left over from paying our bills and paying like for gas and groceries and all that kind of stuff that we normally take care of. But we had enough left over that we could also go to the wedding. But What that also meant was that money that's usually our margin money, our leftover cash that then has to have a job when I sit down to do my budgeting, is that money didn't then get to go towards like my goals and the financial desires and things that we want to do in the future. It meant I had to take care of the stuff right there in the moment, and my wishes for the future had to be put on pause. There's nothing wrong with that, so I want you to definitely not freak out when this happens. Now, don't get used to doing that all the time, because that's when you put yourself in a pickle and you're constantly buying things for your wants instead of your future wishes, right? But it's okay to do for this kind of stuff and for the important things that just come up on a whim, even though it really wasn't a whim. It'd have been nice to have planned for it and saved for it, but But that's what ended up happening. And then while we were down there, we actually also ended up going on a shopping spree at Target, because where I live, Target is not close by. Like, the closest Target is about an hour and a half away. And I don't generally venture that far away to get groceries, even though the closest town to get groceries in is 45 minutes away. So, I mean, it's just another, 45 minutes, right? I don't like doing that. I don't like being in the car unless I have to. I like to be able to get things done. So Target, because it was convenient and right there where we were staying at, we ended up going. We were looking for a monitor because my youngest daughter decided she was going to grab it and yank it off the wall and totally ripped the little piece that plugs into the monitor, tore all the wires off and all that kind of stuff. So it didn't work. I did try to fix it, because me being frugal minded and like, oh yeah, I've got more plugins that have that exact shape, right, from all the millions of electronics we've had over the years. But what I ended up finding was that it wasn't long enough. I needed that piece that plugged in to be longer to fit over the lip, which was a little annoying. But anyways, the point is, we had to go into Target. I could have gotten it from Walmart, but I don't really like to buy stuff like that from Walmart if I want it to be a little higher of quality. And I know I could have bought it online, but I'm not the kind of person who likes to buy things online. So what did I do? I went into Target. What did I do wrong? I brought my husband with me. He is the spender. Like, literally every time I'd look at something thinking, oh yeah, it'd be nice to have that, we kind of need this, blah, 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 he would just put it in the cart. And me not being the one, like, I wanted it, but I wasn't going to fight him over it, right? And so we ended up buying a whole lot more than what we actually went in for. Now, granted, again, I did have the money saved up for that. So it's not like I was just spending money that I didn't have, or spending money from my other wishes or goals, financial goals that I have in mind, like paying off the car loan. I didn't have to take away from that, even though I did by going on the vacation to the wedding, right? But essentially what I'm saying is I did have this money saved up. It was just I never actually went to buy it. I'm the person who likes to save up for things, and then I never actually buy it, and I just try to fix and fix and fix and fix and fix and fix and fix until it's completely broken and I can't fix it anymore. And so it was really nice to get all these things, but again, it was something that was unplanned for, and I had to figure out where the money was coming from, make sure that I didn't go over budget in what I had saved up for those areas, and it was a little more of a headache than I had intended, but it's still something that I was able to do because I was able to save up for it because of the margin that I have in my budget. And I feel like that is like what is going to be the reoccurring theme today, is the fact that having my lifestyle needs be lower than the actual money that comes in, like the actual income amount, so that I have money, aka left over, to put towards things that are unexpected, or to put towards my goals and my dreams for the future, so that I can save up for possibly a house. I'm not trying to save up for a house, but if that's what your goal is, then you can save up for it. If you're trying to save up to pay off your debt so that you can have more money in your margin, like if you get that debt paid off, just think of how much more money can be in your margin that you're not having to put towards a bill or a credit card or something like that. Like, the possibilities are endless, and it gets exciting when you think of all the money that you could have because it's not tied up in a loan and tied up in a bank because you have to pay the bank because you wanted to get something that you couldn't just wait for. Right? You get what I'm saying there? Like, just think of all that, how crazy it is. And when you free up that money to be able to do with it what you want to do with it, it gets exciting. Like, when I sit down and I talk about financial goals and I see how much money is left over that I can put towards these financial goals, I just, if you can't tell, I'm getting excited just talking about it. But that margin is so important. To not be living at the exact amount that you are making every single month is freeing, and not just in a way that you're in that paycheck to paycheck cycle, stressing over whether you're going to be able to pay your bills, whether you're going to be able to eat, trying to decide which one's more important, like, do I pay the bill or do I buy groceries, right? That's not something that I want you to have to think about. And that is why it is so important to have that margin in your budget to where you are not at the liberty of your money, right? You are not stuck having to do what your bills and your finances are saying because that's where you're at. That margin just gives you freedom. It gives you the ability to dream, to be able to save for things and not have to get a loan. Yeah, it might take a little more time, but that's going to make it mean so much more. You're going to have more time to think about what you truly want and not just buy something on a whim because you're feeding that whim, right? That cash is not going to burn a hole in your pocket because you have boundaries in place that allow you to take the time to slowly and peacefully decide what it is that you want to buy, save up for it. When you get it, and it just means so much more. There's so much more value in buying things that way than buying it on a whim and right there in the moment, right? So, okay, let's get back to the budget, but I really want you to understand how important that is. So, going back to the budget, I went to Target, bought more than I should have, even though it was something that was planned for, which in my brain I still have to rationalize that and make myself feel okay with it because I don't like going on spending sprees. I like to slowly buy the things and not just right then and there, right? I want more time to think about what it is that I want. But anyways, that's what happened at the first wedding. At the second wedding, because I had the money saved up already for that wedding, I didn't have to worry about needing to use my extra money that was left over after bills and all that stuff. I was able to use the amount that was saved up. I didn't even have to touch my actual budget money, and it was nice. We were able to eat out, get the hotel. We were able to buy a few gifts here and there that not gifts, but things that my husband needed, because again, we were at another Target. And we did go shopping for bunk beds as well. And so that was another thing that, no, it wasn't in the budget. No, I hadn't saved for it, but I did have enough money to pay for it out of a kind of sinking, that's not the right word, I can't think of what it's called, but an account that just has extra money thrown into it that doesn't really have a job. It's kind of for those, gives us the ability to not feel stuck. Now, I don't suggest you go and create slush fund. That's what it's called. I don't suggest you getting a slush fund account until you really are able to like manage your money and not be stuck constantly buying that stuff, because you want to break that constant need to give in to that desire, right? So wait on the slush fund until you've really got your finances under control and you're not doing the willy-nilly buying kind of stuff. But because we had that, we knew we were okay and we were looking for a bunk bed. We didn't actually end up buying one because I was stressed. So my children are 4 and 2 years old, and my youngest one has finally figured out how to crawl out of the crib, right? So I was trying to decide how I was going to fit 2 beds in this small 8x9 foot bedroom. Like, it's a small room. The crib and the toddler bed were pushing it. So I'm like, I can't fit 2 twin sizes in there. I can't really fit a full. I can't, it just doesn't really work because that room is so tiny. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll try bunk beds. So I was wanting to go to the actual stores so that I could find the bunk beds. I could see the girls crawling up them, see what would happen, see how things would go about. And I did end up finding something that you're not supposed to get a bunk bed till they're 6 years old. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe we'll just keep looking. And I wasn't really set on anything. I thought about getting the ones with stairs, but those ones are so much more expensive. And I'm like, everything's on sale, so maybe I just buy something. But I didn't want to just buy something because of giving into that desire, essentially. I wanted to find something that I wasn't going to be upset with that I bought later on. And I'm so glad that we went to the last store that was in the town we were in, because my oldest, who was going to be up on the top bunk, was crawling up the ladder. And so it was a twin on top of a twin, and it was a straight up and down ladder, right? And the steps are a little further apart than they really could be for her, and she slipped and fell down, right? And I'm like, I am so glad that happened here, that I didn't buy it and regret it, have to figure out how to work around this situation that wasn't really going to work, because I didn't think it was going to work. Not because of her. My youngest is my wild child, my daredevil, who literally at the store, at the furniture store, they had 2 bunk beds side by side. She was crawling from one side to the other, and I was by myself. My husband had taken my other daughter to the bathroom, and the saleswoman had went and talked to another couple because we were thinking about what to do. And I literally had to climb on top and jump on top of them and catch her to keep her from going from side to side because I couldn't catch her, right? And so that is why I'm so glad that I did that. But again, it was because I was being mindful not only about the stuff that I wanted, but about the money and the price that I was getting. And I wanted to really just think about the thing that I needed. And so it was a big ticket dollar item that I didn't want to buy and be unhappy about. I wasn't going to go spend thousands of dollars on a bunk bed that I then put away for 5 years. Well, it wouldn't be that long, but years until we actually got it out to buy it. To me, that's a waste of money. That's not what I want to be doing with my finances when I could be using it better on something to get my debt paid down, and to then in the future, when we are ready, buy a bunk bed that's actually going to suit our needs, and not needs as a 2 and 4 year old, but needs as a 6 and 4 year old, that kind of situation, right? Okay, so what exactly did this do to the budget? I'm going to recap what we've kind of been talking about. So we were able to go to the first wedding that was unplanned because we used the margin that we have in our budget, meaning our financial goals, they were put on hold for a month. But that's okay when something like this comes up, when these situations happen, because it's life, and that's what that margin is there for. Saving up for our goals, saving up for our dreams is really a bonus that we get to do because of the margin when there aren't situations that come up that we have to take care of, right? Okay. So then the second thing is we were able to have the spending spree because I had been saving up, but also, again, with the help of the margin, we were able to get the things for the house that we needed. Like our pots and pans are some of the things that we replaced. They were getting all scratched up and not very good, which if you actually read up on that, you're not supposed to use them anymore if they get scratches on them because it can be bad for your health, right? And so we replaced our pots and pans. We got a new vacuum that needed to be replaced because, and I didn't realize until I got the new vacuum how bad the old one had gotten because it was just not able to have the power that the new one had to really suck up the dirt from the ground, right? It kind of lost its suck, which is kind of sounds bad, but you totally get what I'm talking about. And then the second wedding, I had enough saved up that originally I had planned for, and I didn't have to touch my monthly budget or make sure that there was enough margin. I didn't have to stress over my budget or whether I had to take it from my bills or anything like that, which was a good thing because the first wedding took all my extra margin, right? But that's what I got from this budget. And that's what I hope that you take away is that margin in your budget is so helpful, not only to be able to get the things that you want, but to be able to live in financial peace instead of financial stress, to be able to take care of the things that might be coming up that you didn't originally plan for, and to be able to get the things that you may need in your house. Savings and planning and all of that is only going to come if you aren't living at your $0 mark in the budget. If everything that you have in your monthly budget equals zero, then you are living at capacity and you want to live below your means instead of at your means or even above your means. And there are a lot of people that do that. So definitely go and see where you're at. Like, look at your budget. Are you at your means? Are you below your means? Or are you above your means? And what next step can you take to get it to where you are slowly, because you don't want to do it fast or you will overwhelm yourself and not be able to get there. You'll give up because it's too hard. You want to do things slowly because changing habits is not an easy process, right? So look at what it is that you can do to get yourself to where you can be living below your means, and you can then take that money and reach your financial goals that you have set. You don't have to do this alone, though. It's time to run and to take back your budget and to get the help that you're looking for. And that's exactly what I do. I am a budget coach and I help you get your budget back on track. First, we start with a budget checkup, and this is where we go through your budget, making sure that your needs are met and learning how much that you have extra to put towards your coffees, your goals of paying off debt, and living big on a budget. So don't try to do this alone. If this is something that you are serious about, take your first step to financial freedom by going to calendly.com/Molly Bunnell, so that we together can get you unstuck and living the life that you desire. But again, if you have questions or have any concerns, get on a free clarity call with me so that you can go into a budget checkup excited and ready to go. Go again to calendly.com/Molly Bunnell. That's calendly.com/Molly with a Y, B as in boy, ENELL, and pick the call that's right for you. And with that being said, I look forward to seeing you right back here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. Before you go, I hope this episode has ignited a fire inside of you, and I pray that it creates long-lasting impact. Did you know that you too can impact other one-income families? All you have to do is leave a written review, and you help get the podcast in the hands of other mamas in need. You can also text this episode to that friend who is also knee-deep in the same kind of chaos as you and inspire them to make a change. Also, your review lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and that lights me up. I get so excited to hear from you. Another great way that we can connect, though, is through the One Income Family community over on Facebook. So after you're done leaving that 5-star review, head on over to the community where you will find other mamas working their way out of the chaos. You can ask your questions and connect with others who truly understand what you are going through. I cannot wait to connect with you in the community. Until then, I will see you right here next week on another episode of the One Income Family podcast.